order. This is the Plan Commission meeting of Tuesday, February 24, 2015. Roll call.
Johnston here.
Carrillo here.
Gavich here.
Screeney here.
Guzikowski here.
Seifert here.
Chandler here.
Item 2 is minutes of the February 10th, 2015 meeting.
Seifert moves to approve the minutes of February 10th, 2015 meeting.
Guzikowski will second.
Roll call.
Johnston, aye.
Carrillo, aye.
Gavich, aye.
I'll abstain because I was only here by, joined by phone.
Guzikowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler abstains.
All right. Item 3, significant common council actions. Carrie.
Council approved three resolutions for certified survey maps at 7902 South 6th Street and 601 West Drexel Avenue, part of Drexel Town Square. Mr. Mayor.
All right, 4 is new business. Item A is a minor land division review of a certified survey map submitted by R.J. Bass, Go Right Way, combining the properties at 7433 South 10th Street, 7380 South 13th Street, 7444 South 13th Street, and 7460 South 13th Street. Tax key numbers as listed. Carrie?
This is a minor land division to combine 4 parcels in the locations that are highlighted in red on your screen. The parcel that is at the very bottom here is actually currently owned by Go Right Way. And this map is actually from the county. It just gives you an idea of where the potential wetlands are. It's a little bit washed out on this screen, so what I'll do is show, my pointer works. This is an area where there could be wetlands on the most northerly portion of the land that they wish to combine. There is also a little bit of flood fringe that crosses over just this portion of the existing property here. The floodway actually is below their property line. That is a misprint in the staff report that floodway crosses over onto the existing property. This is the CSM that is proposed. This is in anticipation of expanding the Go Right Way facility. A rezone of the acquired properties will be required prior to their development. Prior to recording the map, all wetlands and floodplains boundaries should be incorporated. Like I said, the floodway is actually located on the city land to the south of the property, and there's just a small portion of flood fringe that crosses that southeast or southwest corner. The staff recommendation is that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that the certified survey map submitted by R.J. Bass for Go Right Way for the properties at 7433 South 10th, 7380 South 13th, 7444 South 13th, and 7460 South 13th be approved with the condition that any technical corrections are made prior to recording. There is one other proposed condition if you want to specify, in addition to technical corrections, the condition for including wetlands and flood fringe on the CSM. Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Carrie. Do I have a representative of the applicant? Welcome. Just for the record, name and address.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tim Neprath. I work with MSI General. Here's an agent for Go Right Way right now.
Okay. Just stand by. If there's questions that pertain to something you can give us information on, we'll call you back up.
Sure.
Open it up for questions or comments. Yeah, come on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Daniel Daly, 7463 South 13th Street. My biggest question is, if this zoning goes through, is the bus company going to be allowed to change their ingress and egress areas to South 13th Street? As you all know, that's a pretty rough road already that they fixed how many times, and now it's just in as bad a shape again. And I don't know that it would handle the traffic as well as us that live right there. We're never going to be able to get in and out of a driveway. Yeah. So is this going to change their ingress and egress?
Go ahead, Carrie.
It wouldn't change with this CSM proposal. With their future plans, it might. But 13th is a state?
County.
County
I
highway.
always get those mixed up. It's a county road, so the county would actually have to review the plans for ingress and egress on those properties.
So as of this time, it's not going to change
Yeah, at this time
anything
it won't.
except that they own the footage.
Right, and then actually long-term, I think it's scheduled for
2018.
2018, a complete rebuild, just like you see north of Rawson.
Right, right,
So that'll change all these things as
right.
well.
But until then, it
Yeah.
should stay pretty much the way it is?
Yeah.
That's my question. Thank you.
Good question. Anybody up here got a question? Commissioner Johnston?
Just a technical correction that they show that the building's going to be removed from the CSM, the dwelling.
Okay. Anybody else? Oh, Alderman Bekavich?
To me, again, it just seems like they're anticipating expanding, which has been stated, and that's good to see. I do share the citizens' concern. 10th Street is getting awfully busy in and out of there. We anticipate a stoplight soon. But again, I would really caution the 13th Street. You'd have to work tightly with the county to get that egress in if it comes in the future. Other than that, I do not have an issue with it.
Anyone else? All right, motion for 4A.
Johnson moves that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that the certified survey map submitted by R.J. Blasco right way for the properties at 7433 South 10th Street, 7380 South 13th Street, 7444 South 13th Street, and 7460 South 13th Street be approved with the condition that any technical corrections are made prior to recording and that all wetlands and floodplains are delineated prior to recording in the CSM.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call.
Johnston, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Speedy, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Good luck. Item 4B is a plan review of site building and landscaping plans submitted by Le Berlin Quick Trip, Inc. for the Quick Trip gas station and convenience store on the property at 7880 South 10th Street, tax key number 783-9073. Carrie?
This is for site building, landscaping, and lighting plans related to a proposed gasoline service center with convenience store, separate gasoline and diesel pumps, and compressed natural gas. The conditional use permit, if you will recall, was reviewed and recommended for approval by council in December, and that was approved. You'll note that in your packet, there were some references to signs. Signs are actually not included in tonight's review, just as a reminder. Those actually just go forward with permitting and, if necessary, with appeals. This is an overall site plan. I apologize that it's kind of washed out on this screen, but I'll zoom out a little bit here. All setbacks will actually be met with this proposal. This is the location of the convenience store. These are the gasoline pumps. These are the proposed diesel pumps. This is the location of the CNG or compressed natural gas area. And then down here, you will have parking, and this is actually where I believe they're going to have their air, water, and vacuum machines.
Which is north on this?
North is straight up. So this is north.
Okay.
Okay, this is 10th, and this is Drexel.
So no access off Drexel?
No access off Drexel, access off 10.
Okay.
There is a driveway that is between that property and the property to the east right here. This is existing.
That's shared with Superior, correct?
Right.
So will you be able to access, if you got off on that, can you get in here?
So if you went through, actually, I believe, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. I believe that the plan is for vehicles to enter in off of Drexel over 10th, and that the trucks, diesel trucks, would come around this way and enter here to enter into the diesel fueling center.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to be corrected by the applicant.
Why don't you come up?
Sure. Troy Molezova, Real Estate Development Manager, Quick Trip, 1626 Oak Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Thanks, Gary. So our kind of flow for this site as we're proposing would be, I just push the button.
Is it not working?
The one below that.
One below it, okay.
There you go.
So our plan would be that the primary access point for ingress to the site would be this point here. Folks using the diesel facility from westbound Drexel could use the shared access with Superior Dye, maneuver in this direction, and then head out this access point. Folks coming in this driveway could maneuver behind the store, head to the north, and then get in this direction as well. Same thing with the fuel canopy. We'd have folks coming in this direction, kind of trying to get that universal flow counterclockwise through the site.
So big trucks, as Carrie mentioned, they're coming in, are they coming in this back way here?
No.
They're
no.
not? So everything comes in this way for the big trucks?
They could come in both this direction.
So those big trucks can come all the way through all this, huh?
Correct.
Really?
We've got the truck turns so that can work. Now, the movement that I think would be most popular here would be if a truck's coming westbound, they're not going to want to make this basically 180-degree turn back west. So I would see this movement as being
It
the
seems
pri-
like
the
it. yeah.
primary movement for those folks.
Okay. Questions? Alderman Bekavich?
Regarding the trucks entering westbound that you just kind of signified on the east side of the property there, is that how Superior's trucks enter for their loading docks? Because their loading docks are located on the west side of the building.
Yeah, their loading docks are up. This is the corner of the property. Their loading docks are about in this area here.
And they currently access that road, correct?
Yeah, they do. And I'm not sure if their trucks come in this direction and head back this way, but I believe they're primarily trying to get them to come off of 10th Street.
Is there an access for Superior off of 10th?
There's a shared access here that is for Superior,
There is.
and then also to the parcel to the north shares that access.
And you've communicated with Superior that traffic will be using that road? Because I would imagine Superior owns that road, correct?
We have, yes. We're as part of our closing, we'll be finalizing an easement agreement with them.
And you will be, okay. Again, really, it doesn't have anything to do with your site and landscape plans, but that intersection is unbelievably busy since the interchange went in, and it will complicate things. Hopefully, the streetlight will take care of that in the near future, because the biggest concerns with the resident is the truck traffic, the diesel traffic, the diesel semis coming off of there. Regarding the access on 10th, I don't really see a problem. Other than, is your driveway facing Bayview Shade on the west side of your property? Any conflict with their loading? Have you been in contact with them?
I haven't,
Their stuff is right there too.
yeah, I haven't been in contact with them. I know their driveway opening is fairly large in this area.
Yes, it is.
I don't think that we would have reason for folks to be queuing here. We've kind of got a good flow set up so that they can get into our site fairly efficiently. What I anticipate is at busy times that if there is queuing here, folks would then exit this driveway and come back south, just as it would tend to flow better for them.
Sure. And then I guess one other question. On the far south side, you have a screening of fence. Can you just kind of describe what you got going on there? Is that just an aluminum fence with slats?
This area here?
On the far south side there, it blocks your parking stalls on the south. Yeah,
Right here.
where the mayor's, yep. Is that a fence?
No, that's not a fence, that's vegetative screening.
Oh,
Oh, that's vegetative screening. I was under the impression it was
from-
going to be screened.
From,
fence.
from the landscape plan that I've seen, it does not include a fence.
what
No,
kind of vegetation? Bushes or?
It's a combination.
Okay.
Bushes, trees, shrubs in that area.
Got it. Is this all grass here then?
That will actually be a detention pond.
Oh. A nice looking detention pond? No. One thing I have faith in Quick Trip, I know you guys, you police your property, so when Brian shakes his head, that's not gonna be a nice looking detention pond. I think Brian's talking about the fact that they become litter collectors. That's part of the reason.
We have issues with the detention pond. We need to work through those yet with Quick Trip.
Okay.
so.
And my concern is about that being a place where all the stuff that flies around at places
Right.
like this ends up in that. So we will expect you guys to maintain that pond, at least for the litter.
No, and we appreciate everything that the city has going on in this corridor, and we'll
Yeah.
do our best to be good
It's going to be
citizens.
really critical along that interchange to how that all of this stuff looks good. And seeing your other property on Ryan, I don't have a lot of concerns.
Before I give up the floor, I do see on the plan where that is vegetation by the parking, but then immediately to the west, is that screening? Where it kind of jogs up?
This here? No, there's no fence proposed along this
There's
area.
no screening to the pumps
No.
there at all.
Well, there's landscaping on the landscape plan along this area.
I see that, but on my plan, geez, I got a bad copy. It has AM on that. Do I got a pointer?
It says AM 59, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
What does that refer to?
what is that big black thing? Is that vegetation of some sort, like a hedgerow?
AM is a designation for the planting. It is a autumn magic chokeberry.
Okay, so that's a row of something?
Okay,
So it's a 59, grouping of 59 plantings.
Oh, wow, okay.
About 18 inches of shrubs, if you will, kind of a hedge screen.
okay. And then I guess one last thing. Monument sign, are you proposing anything on that southwest corner, or is everything gonna be up on the northwest corner?
Our monument sign will be in this location,
Okay. And what do you have going on the northwest corner there?
this corner here.
Yeah.
This is what we're proposing for the CNG enclosure, this compressed natural gas
Oh,
equipment.
okay.
So that we do have in a fenced-off enclosure. We don't have a chain link fence around it. It's a, I guess, architectural aluminum panel. It's a, if you kind of think of the ranking of fences, it starts with a board on board and then, or maybe a chain link and then a board on board. This is kind of the next step up, where it would be a full aluminum panel, privacy panel. It's got some texture to it, some relief between it, painted a dark neutral color like the brown. We have it at our existing facility. I don't know if everybody's seen it around the backside, but it's a nice looking enclosure. And what we're doing there is keeping folks out of the equipment and then also providing screening. And with that, there's also a row of landscaping around. You'll see that on the plan as well.
Okay. It's a nice feature, as long as Mike's here. Mike, any comment as to where they're keeping the equipment and how it's being guarded? Any problems with the police, fire department?
No, based on our experience with Quick Trip at their other location, they are very responsive to our needs. The CNG installation at the Ryan Road went very well. It was a very easy project to work with. Having it separated from the main portion of the facility off on its own, and then with whatever screening materials are there, it helps facilitate it. It helps isolate it for us. I believe it's a rather routine CNG facility. It taps into a main gas line
Correct.
with a small 2 tanks.
I believe so, yeah. It takes it off the gas line and compresses
Relatively
it down.
standard installation for CNG. So no concerns.
No safety concerns? No, all right.
Okay, I am done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Siepert?
Yeah, I was a little concerned about this area for your natural gas. Is that going to be all enclosed, did you say?
Correct. It'll have a 8-foot fence around it, all enclosed.
Okay, and would you have any problem with the access of traffic going in there to get natural gas?
Well, how it works is the actual dispensers are located in with the diesel dispensers. So nobody actually other than Quick Trip employees would be inside this area. It's all,
Okay, so it's a controlled area then?
correct.
Okay.
Commissioner Johnson?
Excuse me, Steve?
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt, and I know that everybody has questions, but perhaps it would be best to go forward with the rest of the comments. Maybe it'll answer some questions beforehand.
Sure.
If that's okay.
Yep. You just wanted to talk.
I do have notes. So parking, we have parking on the south and west sides of the store. That is actually here. The entrance is here, or here rather. And then there's parking here. There's also some parking along the south side here, which we may talk about later with the stormwater pond. We did talk a little bit about the screening. We did notice that there might be some additional opportunities for screening of the parking, as well as some additional vegetation in this area. What you will see for the store, however, is primarily red brick with tan soldier course brick and tan stucco accents, and a green standing seam metal roof with red and almond fascia. Windows will be on the west and south elevations with insulated spandrel windows on the east elevation and under the decorative roof peak on the south elevation. So what you're talking about here is these 3 windows are going to be spandrel. I believe these 2 as well. 2 ice chests will be on the north elevation, and the propane cage will be on the west elevation, which is the store entry. That's also shown in this rendering here. So the ice chest is here. That's on the north, and propane cage think it's actually shown on the elevations, and it's not necessarily on this rendering. Okay, it's purple and blends in with the brick, so it's somewhere. Just can't see it on there.
Which elevation is it on?
East.
East?
So is that right here? West. Here.
Right there.
That's where it is. Okay.
Well, if it blends in that well,
If it blends in that well.
it's undetectable.
You won't sell propane.
Okay. So the trash enclosure is also on the north next to the ice chest, but that is actually not going to be the color if I am correct. The gates will be integrated. Well, actually, the gates will be made with recycled lumber material in a burgundy to match the existing brick. The enclosure itself is integrated into the building using matching red brick for the screening. The fueling canopies, which look like this, are going to be an almond metal with red LED stripe, and all fueling canopy lighting is going to be required to be recessed, and that's per the conditional use permit. As we mentioned with the CNG, similar materials and colors is on 13th Street, 8-foot-tall metal privacy panel with access gate, has all of the related equipment stored behind that panel, and the enclosure, again, will not be open to the public and have controlled access. We did talk a little bit about the landscaping plans. Again, there's going to be screening on the north, east, and south sides, so there's going to be screening here, a little bit here. There's some landscaping here and around the CNG. There will be a requirement for some kind of landscaping treatment along here and perhaps some additional landscaping in this area, depending on what happens with that stormwater pond. Just as a reminder, all mechanical equipment, including ground-mounted equipment, must be screened either through a material that matches the building or via vegetation, as long as it doesn't interfere with the use or access to that equipment. We've also heard some comments from the water and sewer utility requiring a 2-inch copper water lateral to be extended to the water main in 10th Street, excuse me. And then we can talk about the stormwater pond. But the staff recommendation is that the Plan Commission approves the site and building plans submitted by Leah Berlin Quick Trip for the property at 7880 South 10th Street, subject to conditions 1 through 4. Mr. Mayor.
Brian, did you still have the mic, or you?
Yeah, that's fine. One of the things that we're talking about with the stormwater pond, the east half of that pond's only 2 feet deep. So it has a strong potential to have the whole east half just be cattails through there. It doesn't meet the requirements for MMSD and DNR at this point. We're working with them to try and get that resolved. One of the thoughts that we had was possibly losing some of those parking stalls on that south side. I believe you're over the requirements for parking, but that would give you room to expand that pond out a little bit. The revision that we got this morning was showing a retaining wall. There's a retaining wall existing now on this plan along the parking, the south edge of the parking, and then they put one over on the right-of-way line as well. That's not really what we were hoping to see through there, and getting that grass to grow through there and getting that sloped out with the pond. So we're trying to work with them through that, just as a couple things that are going on with it.
Okay.
And also just let the applicant know that when the signals do go in at 10th and Drexel, your south entrance is going to become a right-in, right-out only.
Okay. Commissioner Guzikowski?
You answered my question on the stoplights. When do we think those are going to happen?
We're going to be evaluating that this year, see where we're at for the needs, and then it's a matter of budgeting for the signals installations.
It's on everybody's radar. You know, I've heard from Alderman Bakavich that getting out of that neighborhood in the morning is not the most exciting time in the end of the day. So, and you know, I can see this. You know, much as I love Quick Trip, I mean, this is going to aggravate it because some people are going to want to go all the way across from that big neighborhood to go get their coffee or whatever they get, donuts, whatever. So, I mean, that's something we got to look at seriously.
Yeah, I would agree, because I've been hearing the same things from friends that live there as well. So I do like the way it's been spun, so you're not accessing the building from Drexel at least. So I like how that's been positioned on the lot. One other question, so we're gonna have 10th Street, we've got 6th Street, and then what's the other street at Drexel Town Square? So we're gonna have,
Delco Drive.
so we're gonna have 4 stoplights in that stretch? Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy street.
And then the monument sign, I guess, just, I'm concerned just about how close it's gonna be or how big it is. I know what your one looks like on 13th Street, that's my district, I love what you guys do. My concern is though, is it gonna be too close or block anyone's view for being that corner with the stoplight and whatnot?
What I can tell you is that there is a vision triangle that is a requirement on all properties to adhere to. So we will make sure that the position of the monument sign will not be within that vision triangle. There is also a setback requirement, I believe, for monument signs, but those are issues that we'll work with the applicant on once they submit an application. I believe they've already submitted some of the sign plan details for an application for a permit, so we do have those things to work through.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
Just to let everybody know too, there is a Oak Creek North Branch Industrial Park sign right there as well on that corner.
Yeah, we could move that. We've talked about potentially relocating a couple of those. One of them is on Hull and College because it's blocked by a big electric box or something. So that's something we can move. It's not that hard to move them. They're not electric. They're not supplied by electric. So something we can think about. Alderman Bekavich.
Brian, just a little, sorry, I'm going to Brian because he's the expert on this. With that detention pond, you know, that's a pretty flat lot. It's not like it's raised, what have you, and it's going to be 2 foot deep and kind of wide. Is that a retention or a detention pond?
Well, we got to get to a detention pond to meet water quality standards.
You do.
Yeah.
So that thing will have the capacity to basically dry out in the summertime.
The west half of it is 4 feet deep, and that's what we're trying to get them to extend that across, so we have that depth across that whole frontage.
So we
So-
always have some sort of water.
Water
within
sitting
it.
there. Yep.
Okay, yeah, I would, again, if that dries out, boy, is that gonna be a mess in drought times, so.
Where does the stormwater go on the Ryan Road location? Is there a pond like that?
There's a pond, I believe it's on the back side of the building. There's an existing pond that was there.
They had a little more space there
Yeah.
for, yeah. And the applicant understands we have to work through that issue? Yeah, okay. Other questions? Commissioner Chandler?
Is there a place for truck parking?
Not really. We have a loading zone designated. You'll see that striped area north of the store, adjacent for our deliveries, and if the Pepsi Coke is coming. We don't have and anticipate that we'd have truck parking here for people that park overnight. Our intent with this store is to serve more the fleets that are in the industrial park and folks using kind of on a daily route basis. We're not anticipating folks trying to pull people off the interstate. Maybe our store at 13th Street would be better for that. Being located off the interstate, we're not intending to be a truck stop type location. So what we would have is the ability for folks, if they would fuel, to pull forward, come into the store, pay, use the restroom, grab a cup of coffee or a sandwich, and then somebody else could come in and fuel behind them. So we have some space on either side of the fuel pumps to allow for a little bit of queuing, if you will, for trucks, but we don't anticipate having overnight truck parking.
So for the diesel fuel stations, you're saying you would like the truck to pull forward to allow another truck to fill up? Would
Yeah.
that block the flow of traffic if you have 4 trucks sitting close to the entrance or exit?
Well, we anticipate there'd be space for someone to pull forward and still use that full access point. It's somewhat common at our stores throughout the state where we've got the ability to pull forward and still use that access point.
Thank you.
Commissioner Siepert?
What were the hours of operation? I mean, is it 24/7?
It is, yeah, that's our brand standard. People know that if they see the Quick Trip, that it's a safe place to go in the middle of the night if they need a cup of coffee, if they're out plowing snow, use the restroom, that type of thing. We are open 24/7.
Okay, thank you.
For the public, is this essentially the same design standards as the Ryan Road?
It is. There's a little bit of upgrades that we've done to this store. The building itself is about 1,000 square feet bigger. So you'll see along that facade, that Drexel facade, we added a lot more windows. Where we've added the spandrel is kind of where we've got internal shelving or storage rooms where you don't want to see into the building, so to speak. So that, I guess here it's the south facade will be a lot more lively with the use of the windows than we have on our 13th Street store.
But really, the main entrance is the west side, because that's where
Correct.
the pumps are. Okay.
Correct.
Other questions? Motion on 4B?
Gavich moves that the Plan Commission approve the site and building plan submitted by Leah Berlin Quick Trip for the property at 7880 South 10th Street with the following conditions. 1, that all building and fire codes are met. 2, that all mechanical equipment is screened. 3, that the storm, water, and grading plans are submitted for approval by the engineering department prior to the issuance of permits. And 4, that updated landscape plans be submitted to the Department of Community Development for review and approval prior to the issuance of building permits.
Johnston seconds.
Roll call?
Johnston, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Scafidi, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Good luck. Moving to 4C, final item is a rezone request by the City of Oak Creek to rezone a portion of the property at 9770 South 20th Street from I-1 institutional to M1 PUD manufacturing. Text key number 903-9041-000. Carrie.
This request is to rezone a portion of that property from I-1 institutional to M1 PUD, which is the existing zoning in the surrounding area. If you'll recall, this is the piece of the property that was acquired by Black Bear from the Oak Creek utility, water and sewer utility last year. It was combined in a CSM, but it is not an automatic rezone when that happens. So basically, this is just to bring this portion of the property into the same zoning district that this piece of the property is in, making it one. It was just a slight oversight on our part. So the staff recommendation is that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that a portion of the property at 9770 South 20th Street be rezoned from I-1 institutional to M1 PUD, which is manufacturing plan unit development, after a public hearing. Mr. Mayor,
So you're telling us Pete Wagner made a mistake?
I'm telling you that it was an oversight.
No, just teasing because he's not here.
He doesn't make mistakes.
No, he never makes mistakes. Any questions or comments? Motion on 4C.
Johnston moves that the Plan Commission recommends to the Common Council that a portion of the property at 9770 South 20th Street be rezoned from I-1 institutional to M1 PUD manufacturing plan unit development after a public hearing.
Seifert seconds.
Roll call?
Johnston, aye.
Grillo, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Scafidi, aye.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Krillo moves to adjourn at 6:33.
Gavich, seconds.
Roll call.
Johnston, aye.
Krillo, aye.
Gavich, aye.
Scafidi, yes.
Guzekowski, aye.
Seifert, aye.
Chandler, aye.
Thank you for watching. See you next Tuesday at the Common Council meeting. Have a good night.